It was a usual day at Walmart, and I was putting products on the shelves in the grocery aisle. The store was busy with customers shopping around. That's when I noticed her, a woman with anxious eyes, looking around as if searching for something. I continued my work, trying not to pay too much attention, but I couldn't help but glance at her occasionally. She took a jar of organic peanut butter from the shelf and held onto it tightly, almost possessively. Strange, I thought, but I didn't think too much about it. Suddenly, she raised the jar high above her head, and with a creepy scream, she smashed it onto the floor. The glass broke into sharp pieces, but she didn't seem to be bothered by the mess she made. I froze, unable to understand what was happening. Before I could react, she started using the broken pieces to cut her own face, dragging the glass across her skin with strange determination. Blood came out of the wounds, and I could only watch in horror as she hurt herself right in front of me. I wanted to run and call for help, but my body felt paralyzed by the shock of the terrible scene. She continued cutting her face, seeming to ignore the pain, leaving a trail of blood on the floor. Finally, I snapped out of my daze and managed to call for a manager. Panic and adrenaline rushed through me as I shouted for help. The manager hurried over, looking shocked and concerned. The woman came toward us, her face now a gruesome mess of blood and wounds. She looked at us with pleading eyes, asking to see a manager. I stuttered, not knowing how to respond to this nightmare. The manager acted quickly and guided her to his office, telling me to call 911. While I dialed the emergency number, he explained that the woman was probably an addict in desperate need of drugs. She thought hurting herself at Walmart would lead to a big payout for her pain and suffering. It was hard to believe that someone could do something so extreme just to exploit the system. I felt a mix of sympathy and horror for the woman, as she was clearly in a dark and desperate place. Paramedics arrived shortly after, taking care of her injuries and taking her away for further treatment. In the end, Walmart didn't give in to her scheme, and she had to face the consequences of her actions. As I entered our local supermarket through the sliding doors, the familiar smell of fresh produce and cleaning products greeted me. It was just another routine visit, picking up the usual things and maybe a treat or two. Little did I know that this ordinary trip would soon turn into a terrifying memory. I walked past the neatly arranged aisles with my shopping list in hand. The soft sound of people talking and shopping carts rattling filled the air. It was a busy day like any other. As I reached for a box of cereal, I felt a slight chill, but I brushed it off and continued shopping. As I headed to the dairy section, I heard a hushed whisper spreading through the store. I looked around trying to figure out where it came from, but other shoppers seemed unaware. A sense of unease settled in my stomach, making me feel that something was seriously wrong. I picked up my pace, trying to finish my shopping and leave the store. An announcement over the intercom startled me. "Attention shoppers, please stay calm and remain in your current locations. The store is temporarily under lockdown due to an ongoing incident. We are working to resolve the situation." My heart started racing and I felt a cold sweat on my forehead. What could be happening? I looked around and saw fear in the faces of the other shoppers. Panic spread quickly and people started running in different directions, leaving their shopping carts behind. I followed the crowd, hiding behind an aisle corner, breathing heavily. Through the gaps in the shelves, I saw the chaos unfolding. A group of aggressive and wild-eyed youths were causing havoc, destroying displays and attacking the store's employees. It was horrifying to witness the violent knife attack on two of the workers. The scene felt like a nightmare come true. The workers were defenseless against the attackers' rage. Blood was on the floor and the smell of metal hung in the air. These yobs seemed out of control, consumed by anger and hate. I stayed hidden, listening to the sounds of destruction and terror. Eventually I heard sirens in the distance, and the store's intercom announced, "The situation is under control. Law enforcement is on the scene. As the chaos subsided, I cautiously emerged from my hiding spot. The aftermath was devastating. Broken glass, toppled shelves, and a lingering sense of fear. My hands were shaking, and I realized that the supermarket, once a familiar and safe place, had turned into a nightmare. My heart raced as I walked through the brightly lit aisles of the supermarket. It was just a normal Thursday evening, or so I thought. Little did I know that something terrifying was waiting to strike. As I reached for a box of cereal, there was suddenly a loud disturbance behind me. I turned around to see a man, looking crazy, taking a knife from the shelf. Panic spread through the store as he attacked the unsuspecting shoppers. The first victim was caught off guard and couldn't defend themselves. The knife went into their side and screams filled the market. People ran in all directions, trying to escape from the madman. But the horror didn't stop there. The man kept attacking anyone he could reach. I tried to hide, but fear paralyzed me. I witnessed him stab 4 more people, and blood stained the floor. Among the injured was Spanish soccer player Pablo Mari, his face showing disbelief and pain. He too fell victim to the senseless violence that happened in the supermarket that night. In the chaos, the police arrived, sirens blaring, and managed to catch the attacker. He was a 46-year-old Italian man with a history of mental health issues, but no one understood why he did such terrible things. As the wounded were taken to the hospital, one supermarket employee died from injuries on the way. News agencies reported that 3 others were fighting for their lives, and another person was in shock from the nightmare. The once normal supermarket now bore the scars of a haunting tragedy. Broken glass and blood-soaked floors served as a grim reminder of the horror that occurred there. Afterward, people wondered how such cruelty could exist in an everyday place. There were no signs of terrorism, but the true horror was in the depths of the human mind, where darkness and instability could consume even the most ordinary individuals. From that day on, the supermarket had a chilling atmosphere, with shadows whispering about the unspeakable evil that had happened. And for those who survived, the scars of that horrifying night would forever be a reminder of how fragile life is and how darkness can emerge unexpectedly.